Chapter 1, Bizarre Blizzards. One day a young man went into a golden hotel. It was so large and so big. There were waterfalls all over the walls and the floors were made of ice and diamond. He had been meanly wounded by men in shies ties just outside the hotel. They stole his wallet and all he owned. He went to the nice, neat, and swell hotel looking for salvation, but what he found was even greater than he thought. "Hello," said the receptionist. "Here's a place where all your wildest and nicest dreams come true. You only have to believe you know, so, looks like those ruffians the Blacktails got you, not to worry." A helix of little light particles began to encircle him like a dragon or like Twilight Princess or like floating water droplets rose off the ground and began to twirl around him, but all of a sudden his wound healed. "Thanks, so hey, we just spawned in this world, sorry but, where are we?" Max said. His name was Max by the by. Smiley face. "Max, you're in the Golden Hotel of Jesus Christ. These hotels were made by Jesus Christ to protect those who wish to do the right thing. You know how hard it is in the dark mirror after all." "The dark mirror, what's that? Is that the world we're in?" "Correct, Max. Also we know your name because we know you, Max. We dreamt you'd be here. In our dream we saw you'd make this world of dark a world of light. We'd be impressed, Max. Who you want to see in a Beijing? He can answer more of your questions than we can." "He's at the top floor." The receptionist Alex began to call Abeju and he answered. "Hello. Hello Abeju, it's Alex. Max is here." "Perfect. Please send our nice friend up to our room right away. Tell him Kamina and Simone are here, but he must hurry for there's not much time until the black and white siren stops time again." "Very good, sir, consider it already done." "Bye, Alex." "Goodbye Abeju." "Well, Max," Abeju said, "you can head up to his room. He's in room DS15. He said Kamina and Simone were there. We have no clue who that is, but he said you'd know." "Good luck, little man." "Thanks, Alex." "God bless, man, love you." "Thanks again." "God bless you too, little hero." Alex smiled warmly at Max. He said this with a soft excitement, like he knew this D be hard, like he knew everything. That man surely had the heart of God. The interior of the hotel was utterly golden, like soft and hard at the same time. It reminded Max of Hunter x Hunter, that one scene where Gon and Killua cut the lights off, or maybe like Grand Budapest Hotel. Max was surely and utterly discombobulated. Kamina and Simone. What like? Gurren Lagann. There wasn't time, surely we need to hurry, he thought to himself. Max was us, by the way, or like, you, or you, or you. Max walked over to the elevator in disbelief. His wounds healed. Memories began to pour into him like an overflowing half-earth. He could conjure floating small ice over his right hand, so he did, or fire, or miasma, or electricity, or bubbles, or crystals, prisms. He walked over to the elevator dressed in a white t-shirt and blue jeans. His appearance was handsome, he looked nice, he had a small but confident stature. He walked over stairs or like obstacles or like hurdles and pressed the elevator button. Eventually the elevator opened and he went to the top floor of the Golden Hotel. The hallway was normal with beautiful and pretty carpet, or like ice or like fire. It changed before his very eyes, or it might have never even happened, to the mean or like rude or like impolite, that is. He skated or like slid or like ice skated, or like he wore a fake mustache, or like walked his dogs, or like petted and kissed his dogs. He knocked on door DS15 and Abeju opened the door. He was an angel. He had large, luxurious, white, feathery wings. Behind him were two little white figures, like the god from FMA. When Max entered the room it stayed the same size, or like got infinitely larger, or like the TARDIS, or like, yeah man, it was fucking crazy. Sorry for cursing, by the way, but we curse, so yeah, if fucking you don't, cool. Please stay awesome and please read another book. The Bible might be a good option. Hi Abeju, we're Max. They shook hands. So we guess you guys are Kamina and Simone. They became drills, but began to speak. And like we don't curse too much, so that's good. Hi Max. Nice to meet ya. Me and Simone here are what you might call talking drills, but we like to take a humanoid form so we can have hands, and stuff. Kamina said. Simone added, that's right Max. But no need to worry, we're gonna save the dark mirror and for the first time bring light to this damned world. There's many like us talking water, talking fire, talking desks even talking chairs, but all we know is what we are. We're not like men or like angels who know more than us in a way, but in a way we're fucking smarter than the sharpest tool in any fucking shed, and that's a fact. He gave a thumbs up and shape-shifted. He continued, we can even look just like human beings. But we figured you'd find it kind of funny if we appeared looking like this, like God in a way, for aren't we all God in a way? When we know one is all and all is one, we become limitless, but you maximum. You're special. It's rare for human beings to be nice or like neat, so we feel in a way you've been chosen to save mankind and the fate of every alien race. Max was concerned. This was a lot of info to take in. Who were those guys that jumped us? They stole our wallet, phone, headphones, and our jewelry. Fucking sons of damn bitches. They'll pay for that. What did Alex call them? Blacktails. They were like giant monsters, but like silhouettes. We just appeared by the old rundown fountain, hardly working, but still pouring out water, we guess. But then, those things saw us or like attacked us. We guess Alex couldn't see because the doors of the hotel were opaque. Then they ran away and we limped over to those automatic doors, but then we saw this beautiful lobby. Was there a ceiling? Things are so hard to remember sometimes. Alex, was he one of these alien guys? He looked pretty human, but that technique he used, oh yeah. Why does our memory keep cutting off stuff? We remember we were fighting, we guess blacktails, or we might have dreamt it. It's like our memories are all gone. If they were even there to begin with in the first place. Max. Abeja waved his hand in front of Max's face. Earth to Max, he said in a funny, almost robotic voice. These guys who jumped you, Max, how big were they? Abeja said. Enormous. Max replied. They were at least double our height. They were fucking gross, blacktails, huh? That's right. Abeja said in a quiet, confident tone. He pulled up a digital screen, or like many, with pictures of blacktails with descriptions of their height, weight, where they're found, and powers. Of course, everything isn't hard enough already, we guess. Blacktails can range from nearly microscopic to the size of buildings, or even planets. If we don't stop them, they won't just destroy Dark Mirror but all the planets in the universe as well. We know you're a skilled magic user, Max. More skilled than anyone, whereas we all have our areas of expertise. You seem to be able to conjure anything, but you must hone and sharpen your skills. Blacktails don't play around. There are human colonies all over Dark Mirror. It's called Dark Mirror because it's thought there's a second half of Earth just below this, so dark that there's no light there, but hopefully one day we can make the half of Earth light and make it just like this one, huh? So what do you say? Can you help us, Max? Abeja finished. He was a manly man, surely the kind to protect women and children. He spoke like he meant every word, like this wasn't his first rodeo, if you catch our drift. Sure. Why not? We don't really know much about magic or blacktails or anything really, but what we do know is that if someone needs our help, we'll help them if we can. Max said this with quiet confidence, a running theme among our heroes. Quiet confidence is knowing if someone won't listen to us if we're quiet, they surely won't listen if we yell. So listen, Max, we've got a game plan for 15 Maple Avenue. We know a drug deal's going down here between the Darktails. We figured we bust in the warehouse, kick some ass and flush the drugs down the drain. Kamina said. He seemed happy and excited. Max was sure he was a skilled and competent warrior, someone who wouldn't back down from a fight no matter what. So no offense, but like, where are the police? Max said. No police. No one really knows where this planet came from. We were notified of its existence just yesterday, that's when we figure it was made. There are small pockets of humans all over Black Mirror. They reside near golden hotels, but they're so scared of dark tales, or black tales, they won't enter them, or if they do they usually don't stay long. That's what makes you different, Max. You're not afraid of these guys, and it looks like you even got some superpowers there just to show 'em what for. Max laughed. We love to see it, nice people doing the right thing. We gotta admit though, we don't remember much of anything, even we know it's unlikely for everyone to do the right thing in this world. That's so fucking mad to us. You can be happy and safe, but instead you choose to live poor, fucking depressed because a bunch of fucking monsters tell you to. Could never be us. Max said. He seemed kind of angry, tears began to stream down his face. The other men felt for him. It must have been hard. They came from alien races where it seemed everyone was nice, but he was different. Maybe had he been the only man it would have been different, but he wasn't. There were men, and they usually fucking weren't the nicest, but sometimes. But we're sure he pitied the women and children too. So when's this supposed to take place? Max said with quiet confidence. We'll be sure to be there no matter what. He raised his arm in the air and made a triumphant fist with it. Don't oppress the poor because they're poor. This Bible verse flashed into Max's head, but he didn't know what the Bible was or anything, but he knew it was true. Well, Max, it's tomorrow night, take our advice, get some fucking shut-eye. Healing doesn't mean you've forgotten the memory of pain. Take a shower. Eat something. You'll need your energy, kid. God bless you, man, you're a good kid, Max. Abijah said. He was like an older brother to Max, and he was older. Max was 26, Abijah was 30, Kamina was 30, and Simone was 20. Abijah was a good leader. He had the nice, neat, swell charisma of someone who knew how to handle pressure. Poor Max. For now it seemed he was the least of which, but that didn't mean he wasn't going to be the greatest someday. They all hugged and shared partings. Later, buddy. Love you, and don't worry about tomorrow night. We'll have about 15 people there who got you covered. We know you're just getting used to your powers. You might not seem that strong, but your ability to conjure anything is an invaluable asset. Abijah was very bubbly and upbeat when he said this, but then he began to cry, got really quiet and serious, and hugged Max really hard. He said, listen, we love you, you're the greatest, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He emphasized the word anyone in a way that's hard to describe on paper, but you'd know it if you heard it. He smiled and wiped his tears. His hands were on Max's shoulders, his arms were fully extended, and he smiled in Max's face. Max was only 5 feet 6 inches, Abijah was 5'10" with a blonde bowl cut. A slim cut, but built, and a lean but muscly figure. Kamina was olive-skinned with black gelled hair and a similar build to Abijah, but Simone was at least 6'1" and really skinny. Max was thin. He loved food and always thought it'd be funny if he had a little bit of a beer gut, but the problem was he just didn't drink. Max smiled back at Abijah. Love you, man. Thanks for those encouraging words. We might not remember who we are, but we know who we're going to be. Someone who loves his friends like you guys. Abijah, Kamina, Simone, and hopefully someone who will flip this mirror into a world of light and happiness where everyone can be accepted for who they are regardless of their race, height, weight, gender, or sexual orientation. That's what we fucking like to hear. Everyone said in unison. Listen, we know when things get hard in this world you wanna. Kamina made a motion of his thumb going across his neck. Let me tell you, man. Life is about your ass handed to you until you memorize what the fuck it looks like. Then kicking other people's asses until they don't have any damn ass left. Love you and God bless. He had a quiet confidence. Max cried. Right, he said and nodded quickly once, his voice broke. We're all counting on you, Max, so don't let us down. If you need anything, remember we're here, but please don't, 'cause I'm kinda tired. He laughed. He was like a chibi anime with a huge sweat drop. Duh. Well, love you guys, see you later. Max smiled with his tongue out and a peace sign. His eyes were completely closed, then he vanished. Well guys, let's hope for the best, huh? The remaining members of team all said. They were chibi or vanished or slept or played video games or trained outside. Remember, like Ellen White said, guys, it's open-ended for a reason. God made another floor on top of Golden Hotel for Max. There was no elevator to it or no other way to it but just teleporting in or going through a window, but there was a door to the roof. The suite was huge. It had little stairs that boxed the area that lead to a lower floor about a foot down. It had a huge luxurious bed with fine sheets and super soft sheets and blankets with high thread counts. It had a fridge in a wooden wall that blended in seamlessly with lots of food and drinks. It had a personal pool and hot tub with tons of video games and a high-tech desktop with a water-powered build with rainbow lights. There were huge red curtains that elegantly folded into themselves that tied at the middle. The floorboards were polished wood that looked kind of burnt in places. Max was near where a door would be and he walked over to his bed and sat on it. Tomorrow night, huh? We hope we'll be able to help. We can barely produce any puffs of fire or splashes of water. We might just have to watch, or like conjure someone a sandwich or something. Max began to cry. He cried all the time. He turned the TV on and started watching Dragon Ball. He saw how Goku said, "Oh man, it's not like we can fly or anything," he cried. "Goku," he thought humorously and a little disheartedly, "how far you came, friend. You can do anything if you set your mind to it. You were flying in DBZ, so we just have to be patient and take our time with stuff. We're like you, Goku, we don't feel so strong now, but one day we will." Max chose Dragon Ball because it had the scene in the beginning of the first episode. Contradictions contradict, friends. How does Max know Dragon Ball if he doesn't have any memories? They might flash into his head like lightnings at night's fall, or like tears, or like fucking shooting stars, or like apples off trees. Wind by Naruto is a good song. It teaches us the value of pain, friendship, adventure, and fighting. Listen to it if you get the chance. Max had ice cigarettes. They were literally just sticks of ice, but with magic he could inhale, and ice dust and particles that glowed and glittered would fill his lungs to calm him down. Oh kids, he thought, he loved to smoke, but the cigarettes had fake smoke, but his kids didn't know what he meant, so to break it down or fucking demonstrate or like condescend even, he made these cigarettes. Fire cigarettes were sticks of fire that produced fire sparks and glitter, or even threw flames that were huge. Electricity cigarettes tingled his lungs as the electricity would dance, bounce, jump, and drip on the inside of his iron lungs, or diamond or ruby or emerald or sapphire. He took a toke of his ice cigarette while lying on his back and blew the ice dust up. "Where are you now, kids?" Max wept. He had memories of raising children. They were a rowdy, rambunctious lot. They were poor orphans he adopted in a place a lot like Dark Mirror, probably more dark than black, 'cause that's a really popular show, but Yano, God bless, they squatted in an abandoned factory. He actually found them all in a box. They were dogs at first, but he made them people. They were all girls, 7. They were poor but taught them to play music, to street perform for food. When Max got magic powers, he moved them to the Arctic because he wanted to live in an igloo, and that's where they lived. Elizabeth, Ashley, Alexandra, Lindsay, Angel, Diana, and Ellen. Max was an orphan too. He was 10 when he adopted them. Him and God helped raise the kids. The kids fought with God a lot like Job's kids, but they were good kids. He loved them, they just had some chips on their shoulders, that's all. Elizabeth liked dogs a lot. She also loved code geass and exercising. She wasn't afraid of anything, and she liked fire the most, so we can also call her Fire. Ashley was tall and loved fashion and modeling. She always had big dreams of being a model and wearing expensive clothes. Nothing wrong with that. She loved water, so we'll call her Water. Alexandra was tall too and blonde. She loved hanging on trees and reading Max's Dark Academy series he'd write on a laptop he got from playing music. She loved fishing and camping too. She liked electricity, so we'll call her Spark. Lindsay was a bookworm. She liked learning about world affairs and was very cautious to avoid doing drugs and alcohol. She never even tasted one of the cigarettes. She liked the forest and fishing and camping too. She loved green light and leaves, so we'll call her Leaves. Angel loved video games. She had a Switch she took with her everywhere she went. They lived near a river, so that's how they bathed. If they were lucky, they could get a fire going to boil some water to get it hotter. She loved camping too, but usually just sat at the camp playing her video games. She liked ice, so we'll also call her Ice. Diana was tall and loved to sing. She loved Britain and fish and chips, Big Ben, the London Eye and Princess Diana, who is who Max named her after. She loved playing Mario Kart with Angel, and she loved playing as Baby Mario, but Angel usually picked Baby Luigi. Diana loved the idea of royalty and she hoped to go to heaven one day. They did go, but there was an earthquake that knocked Max out of heaven down to the dark mirror. Diana loved light, so we'll call her Light. Last but not least was Ellen. She also loved Mario Kart but preferred Smash Brothers. She loved her igloo and had posters of Justin Bieber all over her walls. Everything was made of ice, but it was the only conceivable place Max could think to go without the bad influence of the world. He also didn't like taxes, so that helped. Ellen conjured little icebergs and Mario characters no bigger than a thumb for Max and her sisters. Max kept them in a glass case in his room. Max was single. He felt like he didn't have time to date with all his children. Ellen loved shadows, so we can call her Ultraviolet, Blacklight, Shadow, Moon, or something like that. Max laid on the bed and looked up at the ceiling about 20 feet above him. He had white sock on, blue jeans, a white t-shirt, and as he took another toke of his ice cigarette he thought about what Kamina said. We're all inanimate objects who kind of came to life. No need to look at the beginning of the book, he said something like that. Maybe Max dreamt it, or the conversation was longer than we thought, who knows man. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Max took another hit of his ice cigarette. As he looked at the snowflakes in front of his face, the background blurred and he focused on the individual snowflakes. Some were spider webs. Some were spirals. Some were dragons or like Ouroboroses, some were horses or like ducks. Kids, we don't know how Maxie ended up here, but we know he'll get home one day. Max didn't like to be called dad like a modern Atticus Finch. He knew God was the only true father. Max picked up a book next to him. The Fault in Our Stars. He loved this book a lot. He read it to his kids. It's a heartbreaking tale about love, tragedy, and the value of strength and living without someone we love. He read the first chapter, noting the excellent vernacular, nice imagery, and interesting characters. The only difference was this was a fake story and that was real life. No, just kidding, we just love John Green. It's hard to know the difference between the real and the fake sometimes. Max began doing push-ups. He had a cross necklace and would blow fire at the fireproof wooden glossy panels. They were already burned anyway. Max could conjure about 20 feet of 3-inch fire. This was true of all his elements. Apparently aliens could conjure planet-sized fireballs. Max had a long way to go if he was going to save the Dark Mirror. But maybe there was a black silhouette half Earth under Earth, like two spoons touching, like these silhouette black tails. He might be able to make this place a utopia, with golden hotels, or like Ponyo, or like water, or like light, or like water, or like light. Kids, what did Maxie always tell ya, huh? Anything's possible with God. Max considered what his friends said. Get some sleep. We got an uphill battle tomorrow night, huh? Sorry guys, we'll have to sleep when the sun's out. Max thought with a quiet smile. His head was tilted down. He smoked his ice cigarette, then disappeared. Max was in a steel-walled gymnasium with glossy wooden panels, skinny, burned. Max was the greatest, but he remembered it all. People in heaven. He didn't remember any talking chains, no offense. He was attacked by blacktails and lost most of his ability to conjure great big firestorms, and instead was left with little fire strands or ropes. Max had a mansion with his kids in heaven. Sure, there wasn't ice, but at least there weren't taxes. He remember being at home one day with his dogs when suddenly there was an earthquake that knocked him off his hammock or like bed its open-ended Yano. His cigarette fell out his mouth and the sky turned blood red and dripped blood like rain. The blacktails started attacking people and Max fought them with a lot of might but they overpowered him and he fell out of heaven like that old story of Lucifer in the Bible, but the difference was Max was a good man, no angel. So like Mario in Super Mario Galaxy he fell away and well, we know the rest of the story. He was near a broken fountain with chunks of the outer concrete edge missing that wasn't making too much water when the blacktails came and beat him up. At this point he lost a lot of his memories. Even now his memory wasn't very good, though through no fault of his own. They stole his stuff, his phone, his wallet, his earphones and left him with a huge wound through his stomach. With unbelievable strength he walked or like Yano, if it's too unrealistic we crawled or like Yano, it's just we're pretty sure we said walked at first, but no worries it's open-ended for a reason man. When the blacktails stole Max's stuff, they ran away so there was the Black Knight Street. The buildings all looked condemned, the wail of sirens slashed at the night sky like portals from Twilight Princess. But there was this enormous hotel that touched clouds that looked like it was made from solid gold. Max entered to a pleasant pop song about not being anxious about life and just shaking anxiety off. Nice song. But there he met Alexander, probably Alexander, who explained he was on Dark Mirror. As Max thought of all these things he practiced his martial arts but it just wasn't the same, his fire was so small now, his water was so small now, and he could hardly make an igloo with the amount of ice or snow he was making. Fire reminded him of Elizabeth. They were all his favorite in a way. She loved the unpredictability of fire. The warmth, the heat, the way it could light up any tundra. Poor Elizabeth. Even now Max wished Elizabeth could hear him so she could know everything would be okay in the end. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? God bless Wiz. Elizabeth, it'd be selfish not to think of her, we're not the best, it's just sometimes we get scared. Wicked people might ask why 7 girls, why not boys? As stupid as the wicked act it's strange they could even think of this question. Well, we wanted girls. We felt like it's what we wanted though we love men too, it's not that complicated at all, we might like girls more than boys probably that's it, we always have, just makes us happier we guess. Max's backstory is a little complicated. Max was also just a simple dog. But God raised him. The problem was God was poor too, no one knew he was God. Max was taught music and the hardships and difficulties of life. Max named Elizabeth after Queen Elizabeth II for she loved the Queen a lot. Sometimes things might not always make sense but that doesn't mean we shouldn't say it. In fact, it's the complete opposite. If we said things that always made sense how boring would that be? Max listened to Nightmare by Halsey while training. It's a really nice song about the tragedies of what society expects us to be and how if we break out of their mold we might make a self-empowered, self-loving anthem to our tragic, but beautiful life. Max loved to use chains to fight with little hooks at the end like the hook shot from Zelda. His chains were only 20 feet long now and very small but he made work on his little punching bags, piercing them, but letting the sand spill out almost like the sands of time that give us so much anxiety. Ice pellets flew fast enough to dig wounds, but not fast enough to go all the way through a target. Rocks were the same way, pebbles now, but no boulders. Fire was now thin and wasn't exactly cooking a steak or Wagyu anytime soon. Water might make someone feel like they're drowning so it surely wasn't a pool. Max continued with fire, water, ice, rocks, chains, and the like for many hours. He was sweaty. He was kind of fat if you want to see it that way. Open rebukes nicer than hidden love, no offense, honestly, but Hollywood changes how these characters look so much anyway. We start to begin to wonder if it really matters. We could see Max as a little fat man, black, Mexican, Indian, whatever you want man you're cool. He could have average arms for real strength is God, magic, anime, and all that stuff you hear on the internet, but working out is surely good. it just is about health we guess, but magic lets us love all kinds of bodies. God bless Halsey and Colors, a nice and wonderful song about the tragedy of unrequited love and how we can love ourselves by learning from past mistakes to find better lovers and better futures. Max's earpods disappeared. Max began to shower in his hotel suite. He felt it wasn't cool enough, but he didn't have a choice, but he was grateful in a way. If this was old Max, he'd make a waterfall hot like a shower, or like go like that. While Max could still teleport, he couldn't affect such a great body of water anymore, so the waterfall would still be cold. He could transport to a hot spring, but he liked and loved showers a lot. Max liked and loved to sing in the shower and dance. He would listen to Taylor Swift. Panic. At the disco, rap, didn't matter to him, he just loved life a lot. The water was cleansing, hot and gentle, like a hug from God, or like joy, or like joy, or like. Max loved to repeat himself. It seemed some human beings just didn't listen. The shower was hot and steamy, not like, in a fucking weird way or anything. It's funny how mean beings can shower all they want, but still feel dirty. The water rolled off his body onto the floor. No amount of water can clean a monstrous soul, maybe a dirty one. Probably only God could clean such a wicked soul, but still, water feels so good. Like Ellen White said, shower as much as possible, at least twice a week. Open rebuke's nicer than hidden love. Some fuckers out there might hear it and mock it, but just know showers were different back then compared to how they are now. He liked making his hair straight from water, for it was usually curly, right? What you know, right? He smiled. In a way, this was his internal dialogue. God bless Michael Scarn. He might even be the one writing this book. Water cleanses, water. Ashley was water. She'd like to become little puddle and just sleep all day, immune to cold, immune to not eating fish. Max loved Ashley a lot. She always had a chip on her shoulder comparing herself to her sisters. He loved them all equally. Ashley felt too tall sometimes. They were all married too. Max stayed single though, too much to do, but there wasn't marriage in heaven. You gotta understand, Max was just a father figure to the girls. It wasn't like that. Why, they were pups of the same litter, if you wanna see it like that. Lots of this is metaphor, so yeah. Anyway, fucking, the water ran down Max's body, but cleaned his soul as well. Nothing felt better than a nice hot shower, and Max knew that. He could stay in there forever, but it's hard to put ice or snow in hot water. Max stepped out the shower filled with joy, but optimism as well. The floor under his feet was upside down and kept flipping over until it knew it existed. Chains flew across the universes in his mind slowly, but like lightning too. Nolus, a word Max made, a secret like his heart. Kidding, it means lightning. Max could flip his bathroom upside down as many times as he wants, but his rosary will keep falling onto his own shoulders. Fucking spin it one way, spin it the other. That's how he was. Infinite chains are a ladder in an ether we keep flipping or spinning, or like twirling or like swirling. All good is from God, so God bless God for thinking of this, not us, but in a way us for sure, 'cause God's way smarter than this. Max put on his boxers, basketball shorts, and a tank top. He laid on his bed and watched Inuyasha until he started playing Desire of Ages by Ellen White. He listened to it every night. It was 1 a.m, fucking humiliating. He thought he'd be up for way longer, but it's cool. Even better, he hated staying up, though he loved nighttime. Max woke up at 8 a.m. He had a digital alarm clock next to him, black with green numbers. It was 8 a.m. exactly. He blinked several times, trying to digest how grateful he was to see the day's light again. Light. Diana. Diana had a good husband. Max loved him a lot. He was a nice and successful man, a businessman, stocks and that. He wasn't the nicest though. None of their husbands were, so Max always had some resentment toward them for that. Diana loved light. She said dogs can only dance in the light, for without the light, what dog could dance? She loved to picture dogs dancing. She loved Chinese food, Dahakat, Agara Hills, and breaking her dad's heart. She had a chip on her shoulder like her sisters. She lied too much, Like chains flying across a universal white ether, she seemed to just go on autopilot sometimes, just going through the motions of life without stopping to think about how grateful she should be. She loved to dance, a silly girl. Daddy's little heartbreaker. Honestly, she got it from her dad, he was cold like her. Max thought of going to a store like Walmart and thought how funny it'd be to have a Walmart in his book, but he remembered, there were no Walmarts here. The golden hotels were safe havens made by God to help the oppressed, but they only ever went in sometimes, so aliens usually would inhabit them so they wouldn't be empty. Max teleported to what he thought a store might be on Dark Mirror, and what he saw was a bunch of rotten, nasty, mean, rude, and disgusting food with black tails everywhere. The clothes were rotted, there was dirt and filth everywhere. He thought this might happen, so he really came to practice his combat skills before the fight tonight. It was 8:50 a.m. Light was seen from the Golden Hotel, but Dark Mirror was consumed by a perpetual night. There were some lights in everywhere just so the blacktails could see how ugly they were, but that's it. Max sent some shotgun shots, sound barrier piercing supersonic waves made of negative ether, light and fire. Fucking, they seemed like they were in pain, but they could stretch out their arms very far like knives, so Max had to be careful or he might end up on a platter. Max liked to carry a little bottle of highly explosive and volatile bubble soap with a bubble wand for good measure. Tiny but effective. Not like the planets he blew in heaven, but he had to try. He got really close to a giant blacktail and blew the bubbles in its face and teleported away before they could pop or blow up. It was a small explosion, but it surely did some damage. Max could fly, and so he chose to because the floor was so disgusting. A blacktail sent its arm knife at him but leaned back in mid-air and dodged the attack. The arm made a U-turn and came toward Max. A fist formed out the arm like elastic and hit Max. He was winded, he didn't know how to dodge the second attack, so he just fell to the floor. It was covered in disgusting sludge and filth. It's hard to explain, it was surely damn disgusting in this store. Max wanted to subdue a dark tail before he left. He sent a water spear through one and it became like sludge, whereas they usually looked like a black light or like a hologram. Max almost wanted to wake up from a bad dream, but he knew this was no dream. Black light. Ellen. Now it's not that Ellen was particularly a fan of black light but shadows. She was fascinated by darkness and loved Shikamaru from Naruto. Shadow-type Pokemon and ghost types. She loved Pokemon Legends, Arceus. She was a silly girl who surely loved lasagna so much. Max loved her a lot, but she had a chip on her shoulder. About how she told her kids Max wasn't as good a person as he was, but she loved Max more than anyone. She'd even sin and love Max more than God, but Max knew even in those moments she was still a good person. It might not have been a sin necessarily, but it could surely prevent some happiness from shining in the clouds of the eyelids of the transparent white clouds, blue skies. Anime Ellen lays on the ground and wakes up under a tree and blinks her eyes to see Max smiling over her. When we blink a lot, we open the possibilities of raising children, feeling ground under our feet, and feeling the warm hug of a loved one, face to face, and heart to heart. Ellen loved chess and was a nice, cute, bubbly girl. Max loved her a lot. Max remembered when he fell out of heaven how he reached for kids. They held each other at the ankles like a human chain and reached out to grab him, but as the chunks of ground fell out of heaven, Max fell out too. He fell like lightning onto the dark mirror. The semi-sphere waterfalling earth that floated in the middle of outer space. Other lightning bolts fell to heaven, but Max didn't know who they were. He doubted anyone else could make it in such a nasty place, though he didn't think too highly of himself. Maybe he deserved it. Max thought all these things while fighting the blacktails in that abandoned Walmart. Max's eyes began to glow, but he didn't know why. A gauge was in the bottom left of his vision. Max unleashed such a vicious fireball he eviscerated the entire Walmart. We see, it's like a fighting video game. If we fight long enough we can get some of our power back. Well, that's nicer than one. Still, this is nothing compared to the power we had. We'll have to use this smartly. There might be a time limit on it, so it might have been nicest we used it right away. The Dark Tails were terrified, so they brought out fireproof shields. Conjurers, for fuck's sake. Look how we don't even know if we should quote man, 'Cause it's us. Max. Anywho. Max sent a lightning bolt at one and they all let out a lot of moans. They were terrified, they couldn't comprehend how we used electricity, and fire. There must be a timer to their conjure ability, they probably assign who they should fight then. Too bad we can conjure anything we want. They began to laugh. Max assumed it was because his electricity attack wasn't very strong. Max teleported back to Golden Hotel, but God forced the monsters to keep laughing because it aggravated them. Max began playing Breath of the Wild. He loved this game. It taught him a lot about adventure, patience, love, and hope. Golden hotels, they aren't heaven, but in a way we know they're nicer and neater for it's God's will. We just wish we knew this happened, but life comes with its fair share of difficulties. Dark tales, giant, seemingly smart beings who live to only hurt and destroy good things, sounds a lot like the wicked, but even so, we know the wicked went to hell where they turned to ash, or they might not have, but no, these aren't human beings, they're just monsters. They seem to be able to conjure power-deflecting items to fight the aliens, but, with our power to conjure any power, we don't know if it'll be so effective. Pain, those things look like they're in pain. They give on groans, moans, like zombies. Quotes are funny, haha, God bless em. A fashion alien came up to Max by the pool. A walking shirt. Hi Max. We figured you were kinda lonely, so we thought we'd say hi. Our name's Eliza, we love music, dancing, ellipses, dyeing our hair, and of course, fashion. Nice woman. She looked so pretty, like a human being, but her true form was a shirt. These are our friends Max. Max introduced himself, a pair of pants, nice man. Ironed and all of, dat. Jason was a jacket. Lacey was a hairband, hard covered in cloth, that kind. She looked nice. Honestly, we wish we were a hairband, we bet she makes hair look great. Eliza was a ponytail. And Joy was a pair of Ray-Bans. They were regular sized, but they knew what Max was thinking and became huge. Then small. Lovely human beings. Max began to cry, they felt for him. Max was so happy whenever anyone did the right thing. They all hugged. Joy said, we're not really fighters, though we know how to fight, we specialize in repairing clothes if you wanna see it that way, no offense, making armor, and making clothes enhance with magic powers. That's cool, Joy. Well, hey, do you guys think you could make me the magic armor from Twilight Princess, also the Zora suit from that game? Please. Max said. Sure. Jason replied. He continued. We really admire what you're doing, Max, you're like Ong Man, but like with everything ever, isn't that such a good show? It really was. It really is. We love Avatar, the live action is to die for. Who's your favorite character, man? Max replied. Jason said Sokka, he's so dumb, but he's so fun, ya know. We love him. He really could make or break the whole show. Max knew in that moment these were the realiest beings this side of a golden hotel. So true, Jason. Look, no offense, but no one looks like a human in heaven, right? Max asked earnestly, kindly, nicely, and neatly. Right? God does, but there were some humans, but they also fell down here to the dark mirror, though they look like holograms, but we don't know how come that came to be. Max wept. He hugged them and teleported onto the roof of the Golden Hotel. There was a diving board and a pool on the floor. He was in the cumulus strata state. He jumped, his fat jiggling, and did flips all the way down to the pool like lightning, and landed so hard he knocked all the water out the pool 10 feet in the air, then it all landed back in. Max ate a pizza and asked the other Max, hey Max, great name by the by, do you guys eat? Max asked timidly but humorously. The other Max said, we can, but we have to become human beings, we don't actually need food, we do sleep though and feel pain, though we can choose to feel pain, but we can't choose to not feel it for too long. Max thought to himself, wow. The power to feel no pain, what an amazing pair of pants. The other Max became a person. Hey Max, why do you think all of this is happening? Yano, it seems kinda harsh, we know God's right, but you're a smart man and we wanted your insight. Pants, Max said. Max replied, well, we know God's always right, he must be trying to tell us we would assume some human beings who are meant to go below might seem like they're above but they're not, 'cause we had no clue who you guys were. We knew some of those beings, we know they weren't actually the nice, neat, swell, polite beings they said they were. To some this could be a hard pill to swallow, so now we must suffer, for their sins, just like God suffered for us. The clothes were impressed to say the least. They swam in the heated pool indoors until they teleport out pool and all, and it began to snow. Runaway by Aurora played. To this day, this is one of Max's favorite memories, swimming with those clothes, kinda like a huge washing machine. No matter how hard life gets, we always have our friends and family. Eventually, they got out, dried off, laughed some and teleport out. It was 3 p.m. Max went to a dojo where he met some talking swords. It reminded him of Ranma or like Kaze no Stigma or like our on high school host club. Max put on kendoji, kendo, clothes and bowed to the swords. Apparently they're wooden swords as children but become steel when they're older. The swords became human beings and began sparring with Max using wooden swords. They fought intensely. Max's large weight didn't make him sluggish or slow at all, though sometimes he wished he was skinnier. He just thought it was humorous, that's why he looked like that. They were expert sword users. The kendo masters had much to teach Max of stance, power, control, and how learning the sword was like learning God, for God was also a sword, or like pants, or like shirts, or like socks, or like fire, or like water. Fire, poor Elizabeth. She always had a hard time listening to Max in school. Max taught his kids with God, he homeschooled them. She liked to make mean, rude jokes with her sisters. During these times she lost her powers and often became rude, nasty, and even unbearable. Max loved her all the same. He knew when she came around they were honest conversions. Water. Ashley was even meaner than Elizabeth. She had a really mean, rude, impolite, and bad temper, and sometimes was arrogant and narcissistic. She could be a bad influence on these clothes human beings. She was a nice, neat girl, but lacked proper discipline and true love. Max still missed his kids. It was for the best this happened. If it didn't, he didn't know if his kids would ever open their eyes to the severity of sin. Not to say they couldn't make it to heaven, but just today they could be infinitely better. The sword fighters were building up a sweat. We wrote this like, no helmets, then we were like no helmets, but now we're like, helmets like halfway through or like something like that. Max took his helmet off and squirted water all over his face from his squirt water bottle. Andrew walked up to Max and placed his right hand on his right shoulder. Max sat looking at the backyard on the wooden floor with his feet on grass while Andrew stood up. Max, you did a really nice job. Your skills are to be envied surely. Keep up that way, son, and you'll be a master. We don't want to say in no time this road's difficult and filled with pain, hardships, and the difficulty of being a real samurai. Andrew said. Thanks, Master Andrew, that means a lot, sir. Andrew was at least 200 years old, Jack was 23, and John was 16. Jack and John were Andrew's sons, though we knew what this actually meant. God made all these beings for there's no sex. The backyard was beautiful. It looked like the backyard from Ranma. There was a giant pool, nice green cut grass. There was a koi pond. A shishi odashi, a clacking bamboo on rock that hits the rock when it fills up with water. There were many giant empty green grassy fields that people practiced kendo in. Now to enter this place we went to Andrew's room, which was a portal to this area. It's not exactly heaven, for we had to think it up, whereas heaven is things God made. Max missed Diana. She was a good dog but often misled. She fell in love with the vanities of the world, fame, money, flattery, glazing. She often left the ways of God for frivolous living and sinful folly. Max always prayed for that dog. She loved persimmons. She could grow the sweetest persimmons and Max loved eating them and she loved eating his apples. She made sweet tangerines, oranges, orange juice, grapes, blueberries, honeydew. She loved walking barefoot on grass. She loved stepping on apples to make apple sauce and apple juice. She was a nice, loving, and kind girl. Max prayed for her. Max also thought of Elizabeth, how much she loved Unravel 2, a video game about two yarn guys, though they never finished it. She loved Britain and spaghetti with lots of cheese. Smart girl, she also loved cheesy garlic bread. She loved to write stories on her MacBook and play Paper Mario, The Thousand-Year Door. She loved to read Job, Psalms, and Song of Songs. Surely and truly a dog among pups. She probably lied too much. She smoked and drank, but that wasn't as bad as she thought. She loved to play basketball with her sisters and to go to baseball games. We teleport and we made money through stocks and crypto, plus this stuff was in heaven. Elizabeth always wished to be a Goomba when she was younger, just a walking talking shiitake mushroom. Max always said he'd eat her up. She was shy and anxious about so many things, but she had her own life, and she had a good one. Now she was in heaven, but Max was on Dark Mirror, the post-apocalyptic half-Earth, though Max knew Earth was usually round, with waterfalls falling off the edges. The golden hotels were impossible to see from space. From space it just looked like black silhouettes of buildings with water falling off the sides, but it just might sparkle to indicate there's just the smallest amount of hope there. Poor dogs, they were better than they thought. They were too hard on themselves. They often said sorry. They liked to be dogs and run and race each other. Nothing wrong with dogging or dogging either way. Max always thought of those dogs. He didn't have much else in this world. He had 7 dogs, some crystals, Pokemon card. No lol, he loved those dogs, but he had a lot, but in a way those were his only friends. Everyone else in heaven seemed more unreliable, and he'd never met the aliens. Money can never fill the void of true love and friendship. Max missed heaven, playing Quidditch, playing with dogs, hoverboarding, but now he was still in heaven in a way, but a crueler heaven, an uglier one. Poor dogs, a phrase Max said often, never giving themselves enough credit. Elizabeth, Ashley, Alexandra, Lindsay, Angel, Diana, and Ellen, the 7 dogs of Max's heart, one for every day of the week. Poor doggies, they always tried their best. Meanies denounced them so much, calling them goody two-shoes or whatever that means. He loved those dogs, soft shampooed fur, always smiling, biting shoes and feet, sleeping, running, swimming, good dogs, just a little misled and lost but his friends at the end of the day. Poor dogs. Max prayed for them, for Satan has asked to sift them like wheat. Those dogs cried, they languished in anguish. They didn't know why the world was so cruel, but they did their best, and at the end of the day that's all that really mattered. Poor dogs. Max was always saddened by animal abuse. Animals are our best friends. They offer comfort, cozy cuddles, soft shampooed fur. You can lightly bite them, you can kiss them, you can hold them, rock them, make them dance, dress them up, put sunglasses on them, a shirt, make them DJ, ha 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 ha. You gotta love animals. To Max the saddest thing is when a dog cries, cause you can tell they're trying to be so strong during it. They're so confused and hurt. He loved dogs. There were an infinite amount of dogs in heaven. Poor dogs. It surely was a dog-eat-dog world. In a way Max wrote this book for his children so they'd learn to do the right thing. Poor dogs. God, Max's heart was broken. He might as well change the name of the book to Dempo. Poor dogs. Max hit his ice cigarette. He blew our carriages, TVs, Link in iron boots fighting Wolfos in ice cavern, and Naruto eating ramen. He liked to make little snow figures his ice smoke, though it was more like ice particles. Max passed his cigarette to Andrew, Jack, and John. Bear in mind guys, John was 16. But it was more like candy than a cigarette. Don't smoke, kids, and don't let fucking idiots tell you an ice cigarette is a cigarette. Well guys, Max said. He got up and put his fist into his open hand and kept the hand flat and bowed to show dignity and respect. "You've taught me so much, we thank you for your kindness, niceness, neatness, swellness, polite manners, and hospitality." They bowed back. "You're welcome back here at any time, Max. See you tonight at the warehouse." "Good luck, son," said Andrew. They walked toward each other and group hugged for a while. Max wept. They smiled at each other, then Max vanished. It was now 5 p.m. Max went to a beach. He met a talking beach ball, a talking volleyball, a talking umbrella, a talking beach towel, and tons more people. The kids were sand buckets, sand pails, sand cookie cutters, and little sand hand shovels. At that moment a beautiful woman walked up to Max. Her name was Jackie. "Hi," she said. She was so excited and happy she kinda screamed. Max looked up, his large stomach scorched from the heat of the summer Sunday. "Hi. Our name's Max. What's your name, cutie baby?" "Jackie." "So, come here often?" Jackie said. She was so nice. She was smiling and winked when she said often. "No, we just got here. Have you been here before?" Max said. He smiled. It seemed Max fancied Jackie, but let's watch. "We just got here," Jackie said, smiling, but then she began to cry. Max's heart broke. Jackie sat on his lap. We were in heaven, but ya know that earthquake happened and we fell out, but actually now that we think of it, we've been here a few times, we've been here some weeks." Max believed her, but he thought the earthquake had happened so recently, he was confused. "That happens to me too, memories come and go," Max said. Jackie replied. "God said this would happen. We went back to Earth as punishment for not being grateful enough in heaven. He also said you'd go later, but he couldn't tell you, but he made it clear we'd come back, and it wasn't just as punishment, but he was trying to prove evil was worse than we knew, just like good was better than we knew." Max was heartbroken. Such a beautiful girl in such an evil place. Max said, "Jackie, if we had to guess, you've been too afraid to go in the golden hotels. Tell me, Jackie, why are you afraid of those scumbags? Blacktails are nothing more than monsters who think they're Jesus Christ himself. They're nothing to be afraid of." Jackie was crying. "We know, it's just, we feel like sometimes we might love our own family more than God, which feels right. We know it can't be that bad, in a way it's good, that's what God would say just to be nice, but we lose our rock when we lose God." Jackie was crying a lot and hugging Max. Max pitied her. They kissed. There wasn't kissing in heaven, but Max assumed it was okay down here. Max wasn't the best, which is why he ended up here. If he made any more mistakes, they'd be his to make. "Listen, Jackie, we know we're not in heaven, so it might be okay." Jackie kept crying. Max felt bad for her. "Listen," Max said. "We love and like you a lot. Platonically and romantically, it's just we want to make sure it's okay with God." But Max had a feeling God didn't care. So long as they weren't in heaven, he couldn't see why at least kissing was wrong, and so they did kiss, and they kissed a lot, and Max told Jackie about himself. Jackie told Max about herself. She said, "On this hot summer day in the hotel room of a beach towel. Our name's Jackie Johnson, we went to Connecticut College and majored in art. It was in a town called New London. We smoked and drank, but we made sure to go to church, read our Bible, do mission trips, and help the poor. But, we never fell in love, just meaningless affairs that meant nothing. We're sorry. Max. We love you, and no sex is fine, we just feel like it's hard to tell someone we love you without sex, but we know that's our fault, not God's." Max replied, "Listen, Jackie, we're sure sex with a pretty woman like you would be fucking unbelievable cool and good, but, you know God's rules about monogamy and that, we're already such a sinner. We already know we're not going to be the monogamous husband you want. We can only imagine the difficulty of being monogamous, that's why we prefer being a virgin." Jackie replied with a smile, "Well, we can still kiss as friends." She was very close to Jack's mouth. She said that with a smile. She inched closer toward him while speaking, and then they made out again. Max wasn't the best, but God was, so he let it slide. To God, he thought, one man one woman makes sense. Though it hadn't been this way always, for better or for worse. Kissing surely wasn't sex. Max was just confused, but surely felt a little sexist. But wouldn't it be bad if he was okay with Jackie kissing other men? Wasn't it more acceptable for a man to do it than a woman? Max wasn't the best, but it wasn't sex, and it wasn't going to be, so we don't know how it's cheating if there's no sex and the women know. Poor twisted human heart, swayed by the simplest things. Room for one please, a little white man said. Oh. It's you. Dear, why it's. The little white man pointed both his thumbs at himself. When we say little white man again, we mean like the God from FMA. Jesus Christ, baby. Alex ran from behind his desk in front of Jesus, who backed up and bowed down. Lord. To what do we owe this great honor today, Your Highness? We came to see a certain Maximilian Hillian. We heard he's committing adultery on the beach. God said and smiled at the end of his sentence. He smiled more and pointed his thumb at his teeth. Smile. Surely you jest, Lord. Folly, yes, but adultery is sex, isn't it? Alex said. He laughed. We guess you're right, Alex. Should we take the elevator or just like, poof, Yano? God was smiling when said just like. He pointed both his thumbs at himself, and when he said Yano he tucked his checkmark thumb and index under his white chin. Well, there's nothing wrong with exercise, sir. Can you believe Max? He's so big he might keelhaul any moment. Alex said. He had a posh voice. He was kinda like that examiner from Hunter x Hunter, the one who made them run for miles. God stopped smiling and frowned, but then smiled again, this time with teeth, then laughed. Alex, man, don't fat shame, he said with a frown. No, but he looks good, right? Very good, sir. Those are my apologies, dearest, smallest Jesus Christ. Here's a room key, Jesus, you go right on up. Alex said. Thank you, Jesus said, letting the key dangle in his right hand while he held it up. He swung the key, which looked like a traditional key and a keycard on a keychain, while dancing and whistling over to the elevator. He pressed the elevator button and smiled and laughed while waiting. He hit the e-cigarette and said, "Don't discriminate, kids." When he said kids, he gave a thumbs up. He said it as if he was looking at a camera. He walked in the elevator, turned around, smiled and waved at everyone. They all screamed positive compliments at him. The doors closed, then the screen went black. Jesus was like 3 feet tall. He usually looked like a human, but he liked to look like this as a joke. He took another hit of his ice cigarette. Ice was the best flavor, blueberry. He was disappointed in MX. But what could be done? Plus Max was usually a pretty nice person. The elevator could move like lightning, so Jesus arrived. The elevator began to smoke and he was disappointed. We need to fix that. So weird. But technically we did it on purpose, cause we thought it'd be funny to annoy people who are too picky. But how can it move so fast? Isn't that dangerous? Jesus thought in a mocking voice. That's the point, guys. Jesus didn't curse cause he was better than us. Jesus exited the elevator door and coughed as he waved smoke away from where a nose would be. We wish we cursed. We don't, but we just pity people. No, it's not the worst thing at all, but it's wrong. Jesus walked down the corridor until he found the door he was looking for, but unlike all the doors, this one was opened with a sign that said "Welcome" stitched like embroidery in a frame hung on the door, red yarn over white cloth. The door was a portal that floated about a foot over a sandy beach. There were tons of people, though they looked like people. They weren't actually people. There were vaults, tables, desks, pens, pencils, anything you could think of, really. They were just chilling. They don't really eat, so no one was barbecuing or anything, but we know there was one Homo sapien there, and Jesus could already smell the ribs. Max was cooking with Jackie, and Jesus set foot on the sand and waved and chatted with people while walking. Hey Jesus. JC. Little white guy, the last one was a human being. Jesus talked to lots of people before eventually get to Max, but when he got there he said, "Hi Max." "Who's she?" Max closed the door on the grill, ran over to God and hugged him. God also became fat in pity to Max. "She's Jackie," she said. "She's been here a few weeks and she's come to this beach a few times. It's such a coincidence, whenever the towel people throw these parties is when she comes." Max said. Jesus said, "That is quite the coincidence indeed. Jackie, tell me Jackie, is there anything we can do to help you feel better? It seems like you've been sad." Jackie hugged God. "Can we get some dogs? We love dogs." Jackie said. Just then 20 dachshunds from pups to elders spawned on the beach's hot tan sand. "If it's dogs you want, then dogs you will get." God took a bite of a hot dog. "Anyway Max, you know if you kiss one woman, you should only kiss one woman, but we know women can be cute, not for me though, we're better than everyone obviously." God said. "Obviously, so God, how long do you think it'll take to get everyone back to heaven?" Max replied. God said, "Who knows?" He looked genuinely concerned and deep in thought. He continued, "We intend or like purpose for you guys to learn from this, or like come back. This is a more limited heaven but more blessed in a way, for pain is a blessing. Max, we only came to encourage you to keep up the good work. Unfortunately not everyone will pass our test or like get back to heaven." "God bless you fatty." Max replied. "God bless you too fatty." They hugged and Max laughed while he said it. "We love you God," and they all group hugged. Then Jesus vanished. Max and Jackie continued to talk until the food was done. Jackie had some friends show up. Men and women. They were all actually human beings: Brad, Peter, Edward, Tommy, Haley, Jessica, Maddie, Cassie, Kayla, William, Stephen, Jose, Tracy, Stacy, Marilyn, Diamond, Olivia, and Ruby. "Nice to meet you. Our name's Brad. What's your name?" Max replied. "So tell us guys, how are we feeling, fellow youths?" "We're all right," Peter said. "We heard of you Max, you were a big deal in heaven. As bleak as God describes the situation, we might be the only people to do the right thing. Nice to see you." And Jackie hit it off. Like an anime, all the men started to cry waterfalls in a comedic manner. "You know Max, we tried hitting on these girls but it seemed like they all liked you." Like an anime, they stopped crying and they all had tuxes on and held bouquets of flowers. "Our true love is God anyway, and it's even better because romance distracts from the love, kindness, justice, and beauty of God," the men said in unison. "Anyway Max, we'd love to stay but we just wanted to help the girls get to know you." The men then left the Golden Hotel. Envy probably got them. They continued to fight the Blacktails, but who knew if they'd build up the courage to just leave and come back to Golden Hotel. Max blushed. This was a lot of women. It was kinda like Drake and Josh. "Hey guys!" the women all screamed excitedly. Max did notice the men kept flickering. Being a man is a difficult thing. These women didn't flicker, but God, they did bicker. "He likes me most, Yano," Cassie said with a smirk. "To you. He obviously likes a girl with a more petite body. No offense Cassie, you're cute to other less awesome men, we're sure." Tracy smiled really big at first when she said this, then tucked her thumb and index under her chin like a checkmark. Marilyn said, "You're lucky there's no sex or you guys wouldn't have a chance." Max wept. "Guys," he said laughing. This was also a reason Max always stayed single. It seemed so women fancied him, he'd feel bad to only choose one, but without sex. Max was willing to trifle. "We love you guys all equally. We don't know if kissing should be a thing." The women started to cry and Max felt for them. Crush by Tessa Violet started playing on a speaker nearby. Jackie motioned that she wanted to talk. She said, "Max, we know when we speak for all of us." And the other women agreed with nodding. "We don't have to kiss, but no, we don't like anyone but you. Should we lie? Liking the same man can't be a sin, right?" They all agreed, "But we don't need to type it 'cause we feel like the audience kinda gets it, Yano." "Well, I like and love all you guys. You're not wrong, but I am, so let that punishment fall on me." We feel like we'll just end up kissing later, so we might as well do it now. Then Max was a really bad person and made out with all of these cute ladies. Cassie motioned that she wanted to talk and everyone motioned and nodded to give her the floor, their attention, and the mic. Cassie said, "Look Max, we feel like we speak for all of us when we say." And the other nice women agreed. Cassie continued, "We don't want to lie, but we can pretend we're just friends if you feel it's immoral or God, people are sensitive, open relationships are a thing, right?" Cassie said, and everyone agreed. Max, like, dating shows the man dates all the women then picks his favorite, we could do something like that. Everyone laughed. What a nice, neat, swell, polite, good, and great idea. Then at the end I'll Max pointed up. He winked. Pick our favorite woman, perfect. This wasn't Jesus's favorite thing, but it wasn't a sin because he didn't know it was sin, plus polygamy used to be considered okay, so that might have been why Max thought he was smart. No. Honestly, Jesus was completely fine with it, it wasn't sex, so at the end of the day what was there to really say? So this might not keep coming up. God bless the church, Christians, the Bible, and Crush by Tessa Violet. Little baby sand pails and sand castles. As people. Hilarious. Max already knew what they looked like, but he was just fucking around. So contestant number 1. Why do you think we should be your special chocolate man who's best friends with talking towels and towel accessories? Well, Jackie said we love washing machines, detergent, little towels, towel accessories. King of the hill in a way. Open rebukes nicer than hidden love. It's good but not for us, but we like the propane and propane accessories joke. We love Ghirardelli, Hershey's, Feastables, Ferrero Rocher, chocolate turtles, animals of all kinds that are chocolate, Skittles, being nice, neat, swell, polite, and confident. And we love you. Jackie screamed in joy at the last part. Max wept. Such a nice answer. You are a nice and beautiful woman, and they kissed. He had her stand behind a curtain to hide what she looked like as a joke. One could only see her feet, that's it. Contestant number 2, please step behind the curtain. Tommy stepped behind the curtain. Even though we could all see her, we could see her silhouette, but that's it. Contestant number 2, what's your idea of the perfect date? Max asked in a silly, deep voice. Well. Tommy started excitedly, she seemed so happy. Max clearly liked and loved her a lot. They were just kids being silly, nothing wrong with that, that's how he saw it. We'd love a walk on the beach at sunset while holding hands, chocolate and flowers would be so nice. She yelled in excited glee. Lay on the sand on warm day. Swim. Walk the Santa Cruz Pier. You win me some stuffed animals. Nothing crazy, we could just stay in two as long as I'm with you, silly. Tommy finished. Nice answer, Tommy. We also love chocolate and flowers, and nothing is more beautiful than the Santa Cruz boardwalk, especially at sunset. Very nice answers, contestant number 2. Max said. They kissed. Contestant number 3, please follow us, Max said, and he lead them to the water. Do you guys have magic powers? He asked. They cried, they didn't. They smiled. It's okay because the true magic of life comes from true love. They all said in unison. Wow! Max exclaimed, he started laughing. You guys all said the same thing, ha ha ha. Max said. Well, we'll have to give you our powers. Max temporarily relinquished his abilities and gave them to Haley. Haley. We want you to make us an ice sculpture. They were standing in the water about knee height. Haley took a deep breath and held her right palm up. She wept. She was nervous and anxious. Her face looked calm until it got a little more intense. Then an ice origami swan appeared about 3 inches tall. Haley wiped her face with her right forearm and smiled. Sorry guys, we just felt like, insecure, like we wouldn't be able to make anything cool, ha ha ha. Get it? Cool. Ha ha ha, come on guys, chill out. Ha 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 ha. She was such a cute nice woman. Max loved her and her bubbly attitude. She had a cute bright blue bikini on. She was tall and blonde with an honest smile and blushy, rosy tan cheeks. Jessica, can you top Haley? There's only one way to find out, kiddo. Let's see what you got. Max said. He looked like anime-like. Phoenix, right, or like he pictured it at least. Anywho. Jessica took the power from Haley. They touched right palms, hands held high bent at the elbow. The ice power spiraled like snow around Haley's arm, then transferred to Jessica's arm. Jessica wept. She must have felt insecure too. But honestly, those were probably tears of joy. Jessica wiped her tears, sniffled, and they all hugged. It was a bright, sunny, hot day without a single cloud in the sky. There never was. It was just perfect beach weather. The kids were playing, building sand castles. People played volleyball. The idea of heaven being filled with awesome beings always made Max happy because it seemed so many human beings, multitudes, sadly enough, weren't going to make the cut. Perhaps human beings were too self-absorbed with their appearances. We gotta imagine it's gotta be easy to be humble if you're a little bucket or like pale. The water was so refreshing because it was so hot. Max was already black and he was definitely about to get a lot blacker. Whether we're black, white, brown, dark brown, red, or yellow, we all have value. For Max, he liked or loved his skin color and didn't intend nor purpose to change it. Jessica said, "All right everybody, it's time to show you guys the cutest little horse you ever did saw," she said with a Texan accent. She raised her right palm up, closed her eyes, and thought long and hard about what she thought the horse should look like. She stayed pretty calm the whole time. There's two kinds of people in this world, Yano, and poof. The horse appeared in her hand, cooling it to the touch. It was a beautiful little stallion. Jessica probably liked riding horses. Max knew that was a popular hobby back on Earth. It was going to be a hard choice, but Max had to give a point to both because he felt bad for them and he honestly felt they were both equally good. Max didn't want this to end. It was 7 p.m. but the rendezvous was at 2 a.m. but it was perpetual sun here. Max knew what he had to do. He had to convince the women to stay at Golden Hotel, stop sinning, and stay safe. Perhaps they wanted to help too much. Like the Talking Clothes said, battle is for those who are prepared for it. They were just bunch of nice, innocent women. They had no business being in this evil world, and they surely had no business in a fight between superpowered beings. They had no powers. Max led the girls to the shore. He got on his knees and prayed long and hard for the women to have powers. It'd be a nicer story for sure, and he knew it'd make them happy. He instructed them to all get on their knees and listen to his prayer to God, and they agreed. Max took a deep breath, wept, wiped his tears away, smiled. His eyes were closed the time. He instructed the women in a circle. They all held hands. They all wept, wiped their tears, and Max began speaking, "Dear God, please help us to find guidance in you. Let us get closer to you and feel closer to you as you test us. We pray we pass this test and every test you could ever give. We bless your holy, holier, and holiest name. We adore and worship the very ground you walk on. Like Mary Magdalene, we ask for powers for the women, not for combat, but just for fun, for recreation. We pray you give these women love and strength. We also pray for our daughters who are still above." Max screamed. At that moment God gave him confirmation his daughters were safe and in heaven. He cried a lot. At that moment his daughters appeared and they began to talk. Elizabeth, Ashley, Alexandra, Lindsay, Angel, Diana, and Ellen all appeared and they all cried loudly, but they smiled too. "Dad," they all exclaimed. They talked for a little just to confirm everyone was okay. He kissed them all on their heads, on the top, on the hair. They all hugged, then they vanished with God. At that moment the women began to glow, then they were consumed in fire, but wouldn't burn, then ice, then electricity, then water. Their prayer was answered. For Max's next test he was going to make the women do an avatar. the last airbender kinda thing where they choice one the four elements from the show Attack a Dummy. We know it seems contradictory, but it wasn't real combat Yano, in fact that's why Max picked it. Next up was Maddie, Cassie, Kayla, and Tracy for the four elements from Avatar, The Last Airbender. To Max's luck the four women all chose four different elements so it was more entertaining. Maddie picked water, Cassie picked fire, Kayla picked earth, and Tracy picked air. Max set up a scarecrow kind of dummy and Maddie went first. She sent a slightly bigger than a basketball-sized blob of water at the dummy's head and froze it once it was near the head. Nice man. So cool. Haha, get it, thought Maddie. We loved humor, condescending, sacraments, friends, and most importantly family. Next up was Cassie. She had a ring of fire spun around the dummy's head about 8 inches from the head and 3 inches thick, then it closed in and left a ring burn mark around the dummy's head. Nice. Cassie said that was pretty hot, huh Max? Cassie said in a cute, sexy, humble, and awesome way. That was awesome Cassie. Good and great job lover. Max said in a nice, neat, swell, polite, happy, excited, manly, humble, brave, hopeful, and adventurous way. Kayla was next. Now, to us sand is earth, but if we remember correctly it wasn't in Avatar, so to stay faithful to the show Max spawned some rocks for Kayla, about 100. Kayla sent them high into the sky about 100 feet above the dummy, stacked them so that it looked like they were glued together, and brought them down with a loud and proud warcry. They fell super fast and hit the dummy so hard a long narrow hole was left with sand pouring into it like waterfalls. That wasn't too hard Max, love you baby. Max blushed. Kayla was such a sweet, innocent young woman. Way to go Kayla. You are a nice, sweet, beautiful, and wonderful young woman. That was really badass and tight babe. Good job again and seriously nice work. You're a serious legend round these parts partner. Max said. Thanks partner. Kayla bowed and Max put a cowboy hat on her and cowboy boots plus a lasso in her hands. She lassoed him, brought him close to her, and they made out. They blushed. They wept. They definitely and surely liked and loved each other a lot. Next up was Tracy, and her element of choice again was air. She stood in front of the dummy, took a deep breath. She sent wind crescents at the dummy like Kagura of the wind, but instead of a fan the wind was visible swirling around her. Then she shed it off and it hid with such mean, nice, ferocious force the dummy was cut to pieces but stayed in place, but the arms fell off. Tracy had freckles. She was wearing a cute white bikini and she screamed for joy and jumped up for joy with her arms high and proud. She wept quiet tears of anxiety, but also joy. Tracy loved to dance. She was sisters with Stacy. They loved to dance and they loved hip-hop. They also loved footwear and anime. People gave Em a hard time for no reason, but Max really liked Em. That was a breeze. Tracy said in a flirty, cute, and sexy way. Max blushed. He laughed at all their jokes cause he thought they were genuinely nice, neat, swell, polite, and funny. Max conjured a fake mustache on him and all the women. They all laughed. He also gave them top hats, canes, and full suits. They danced around and talked in a silly fancy pants, dumb way, and they laughed because that's what kids did. Max walked over to a baby and picked her up. People in heaven were literally that nice. Max, we'd be offended if you didn't pick up our little 4-year-old, said a pair of beach ball parents. They became beach balls and rolled over to me. They didn't have face or anything, but they saw our Charlie Chaplin show and put on fake mustaches and monocles, and tuxedos. They became human beings again and told us her name was Susan. Susan said, "Hi Max. Mom and Dad told us you're a big deal in heaven, and to God, why'd you lose all your powers Maxie, if you don't mind a smarter than you baby asking?" She wept. Sorry, like the Bible says, folly is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of disciple drives it far away. If you love your child, give them the rod of discipline. If you denounce them, Spare them the rod of discipline. Discipline your child and save their life, don't be a willing party to their death. She cried a lot. Poor kid, what a sweet, tender, and mild little baby. She looked like a little god, like a little white guy, no offense we guess, fucking, then a little baby girl, then a little baby beach ball. Max wiped the tears off that little beach ball and kissed her. Max said, you know what else Proverbs says, you little baby genius boss baby. Open rebukes nicer than hidden love, why not look like a little baby girl? So meanies reading this, don't give us a hard time, huh? Under the lighting sun, under the snowy icy cloudy snowing icy lightning sun, under the drowning snowing angelic snowing icy lightning icy snowing sun, under the lightning icy snowing angelic icy snowing lightning Sunday. Susan replied, we were so mad at first, Max, like life isn't hard enough, but you're right, we just feel it's cool how you always get a point across in only a few words, like all your books just use the same words over and over and over and over. And sorry. She wept. Max laughed. He tried not to curse around kids, but the parents were cool like that. Susan continued, she looked human when Max said so, but she was understandably frustrated. Who doesn't want to be a beach ball? That's why Max said those 4 sentences. Whenever Max said something he felt was hard to know or he felt might offend someone, he always said 4 sentences after to make it less offensive. Susan wept a lot. She felt really bad. Sorry, Max, we might have started rambling there. She smiled. Just kidding. We just know how much you pity and miss your daughters, and that's how they can act. We're 4. And even we know not to do that, but it's fine, right? Like, you don't make a 4-yo say even about herself. They keep going, Yako, the nerve, Yano, the nerve, it doesn't matter what age you are, forget man, you dat dog Max. Always have been, though, to be fair. Max found his new favorite person. He kissed Susan a few more times and chatted with the family along with the ladies. Max and the women went to a bamboo forest and began cutting bamboo. Suzume, Feet Toka, by Radwimp started playing. Max had never heard of this song, but he quite liked it. It was 9 p.m. but it was a bright day, warm weather, overcast, at twilight, when the sky turns red like scarlet or like crimson. The sky, time was such an anxiety-inducing thing. Max didn't want to fail God's test, he just wanted to be with the girls like Sekire or Shuffle. Or Clannad or like Baka and test harems, Yano, but he knew he had to protect them. They cut the bamboo, the women were like Max. They could conjure whatever they wanted, but of course, again, it couldn't be for combat. The aliens could only make particular things, but they were really skilled at it. They spent time cutting down bamboo, petting pandas, and eating chow mein. Max cried. He was gonna miss the women, but what could he do? They'd be safe here. He felt like he was really getting through to them. Leaving the Golden Hotel wasn't an option. These dark tales, these seemingly intelligent monsters, these silhouettes, they were just that, figments of our imaginations, fake, fiction, not exactly, but without love we're no one. It seemed almost no humans beings would be nice and stay in the Golden Hotels. Human beings were always in and out, but Max talked to some people earlier on FaceTime. It seemed as if they'd do the right thing. Olivia D already left, so afraid of beings who can't really even hurt us, a strange notion to Max. But he brought the women here to cheer them up about not being able to fight. Perhaps if they trained enough one day they could fight, though again, it wasn't the most enviable position. Max's phone began to ring. It was Olivia. She was covered in dirt and rags. She was also wounded. She was with a chess alien. Apparently, the Dark Tales had chess proofing, so they had to resort to swords. This was the way it usually went. The appropriate attribute did more damage, but the Dark Tales were able to defend against that, so we'd wait for their shield gauge to deplete, or bring other aliens, as they could only defend against one thing at a time and try to switch opponents. The Dark Tales weren't too idiotic, however, but always made it a point to try to stay with whoever they were fighting. As they cut bamboo they wept some for Olivia, she was mean for leaving, but the fact of the matter was it seemed she wanted back in the Golden Hotel. The chess aliens used chess pieces as bullets essentially, but when the shields went up they switched to swords and handguns. They were seriously injured but Alex could help with that. There was a copy of Alex in every Golden Hotel like Nurse Joy or like Officer Jenny. It wasn't different Alexes, it was the same Alex. We guess he'd take time to get memories from every Alex every night. It was kinda over our head but even so. Max was glad for Olivia, platonically though, it was hard to be attracted to a woman who didn't know self-worth. God bless. Runaway by Aurora played. To say sorry Olivia had some friends, the men from earlier plus she'd made friends with the chess aliens Keith, Carrie, James, Firebeam, Snowball, Starfire, and Blizzard. We. Kamina. Simone. Abejuk, and ourself, Max, teleport outside to retrieve everyone we requested sled and car aliens because one cannot teleport into the Golden Hotel if they're wounded or in mean or like rude or like impolite condition. Max wept a lot. He was comforted, people already knew why he was so depressed and anxious, he missed his friends Jackie and Dem, another dark tale, great. Max wanted to handle it alone but Abeja punched him so hard he flew Earth, the darker part of Dark Mirror down through space through the boundary of the universe like a ripped hole through the top of the boundary of the universe, through outer space again, back down to Dark Mirror and left a hole next to the hole that he just left. He laughed. Magic had its limits, he intended to fix the holes in the ground as a joke, but he didn't want to exhaust himself. Max created a flame dagger and flew toward them thrusting at them and burning them some. They howled and groaned with very deep voices. They grabbed Max's ankle, with a black slimy, tentacle, kind of appendage then smacked him on the ground back and forth, leaving holes in the ground. He was hurt a lot but he wasn't weak by any stretch of the imagination. He was cutting at the tentacle where his ankle was held with his fire dagger. It was kinda like a video game. Damage wasn't exactly visible, instead the attack went through and the black tail flashed red when hit. They also had life bars if you focused hard enough. All the women left the Golden Hotel. Max was let down but he wasn't too surprised. The human heart is a picky fickle thing. The men and Olivia also left. So what was the point? Was it just for them we did this? Was it not also for us? If they ever came back would not these words surely testify against them if they ever claimed they were flawless? That's why Max loved his kids, they proved someone could stumble but still manage to do the right thing. He also loved the aliens for the same reason, but he thought of his kids first for a reason. Max was crying and grunting out of his closed teeth. He also was screaming and yelling at the dark tail. He was in a lot of pain, but he was used to it. His cross necklace swayed with inertia and blood, his white shirt, and blue jeans dirted. The black tail flung him at a brick wall, he wanted to be mad at Abeja for hitting him, that's why he lacked energy, that's why he was getting beat up, it was his own fault for having so much pride. He sent lightning bolts at the black tail, he was glad there was only one. One could get so angry they start thinking there's more enemies than there are. It put up electricity resistance. Max figured as much and sent fireballs at it. They did a nice amount of damage, the blacktail laughed, arrogant. Kamina sent drills at it. Simone too, it was nearly out, but it sat down, but started regaining health. Abeja sent feathers at it, it kept getting close to a lower amount of health, but it wouldn't deplete. Simone teleported above it and with the loudest war cry you ever heard and with the most serious face you ever saw he sent a huge drill on it. The sleds and cars arrived. There's no way we were teleporting to Golden Hotel so we started making our way out. Simone hit that damn thing so hard, white beams of light, started to break out it like pepperjack or like a strainer, it exploded and left sludge everywhere. Good work everyone, it looks like Olivia and the men won't be coming, but we did our parts. Screw 'em. Kamina said. Goddamn ingrates, just 'cause we can heal doesn't mean the memory of pain does. True enough, said Abijah. Well. Abijah's phone rang, it was God. Hey Abijah. God laughed. How ya doin' buddy? We're nice God. Just helped some fucking losers and took out another blacktail with Max. How come what's up JC? Abijah seemed angry. Who wouldn't be? It looked like the women were on their way back to Golden Hotel, so no need to be too angry, they heard of everything that happened here, that's the thing about helping. You never know who will be helped. He also sounded very serious, but earnest, and curious too. No rendezvous tonight. Jesus flipped the camera and showed 20 blacktails with life bars at 0. One could see the empty bars hanging over those poor bastards. Looks like God already handled it. Abijah was stunned. God. We don't understand why you didn't let us do it, don't endanger yourself like that, dot. He began crying. That was no way to speak to God. Max said that's what you get for hitting me so flipping flopping flapping flipping florping fleeping. Abijah knew. Max didn't need to say it. He might have went too far. He wept. Anyway. Abijah, you gotta understand, we do whatever we want, we did it mostly for Max because we knew he wanted to spend time with those ladies he liked. Had they not done the right thing, well honestly we're sure he could have just found new human beings, but, we're glad either way and hey. Less controversy, right? Anyway, we love you guys. Everyone was stunned. Father and Spirit appeared walking over the blacktails' bodies. Everyone bowed. You kids get home safe. Father said. We'll see you guys later, huh? Added Spirit. More blacktails appeared. We didn't want to lie, we knew they were fine. God bless M. They started fighting M. Jesus smiled big at the camera with his teeth all showing, then started making anime silly faces. Faces that aren't possible on Earth, but heaven. Later. They all said in unison. Well guys. Simone began saying. We can also call Kamina and Simone Kyle and Preston respectively, copyright, we don't know, better safe than sorry, but we know they're cool, great show man. Looks like we can finally get out of here. Max, we're glad your friends came around for you, they're not our favorites but they are really nice. We love them and pray they convert even more than they have, seriously, you'd be dumb not to love them. God bless guys, me and Kamina are heading out. Simone smiled while wringing his coat out and they vanished. Abijah said, well guys, we gotta go do angel things, you understand. He smiled and threw up a peace sign and a silly face, then vanished. The cars and sled said. Well Max, we can still take you buddy. Max agreed and they went back to Golden Hotel. This chapter was initially called Bizarre Blizzards because we felt Max's gauge should fill up, then he'd use a huge blizzard to eliminate or like take out lots of mean ol blacktails. But we felt letting Preston do it was a humbler, nicer choice. Blizzard was a chess celestial though, a nice, neat, swell, polite, cool, haha, and kind woman. We find it bizarre meanies don't like the word celestial, so there we go. No kidding. Blizzard is a sweet, pretty, beautiful, and awesome woman. We could just picture multiple copies of her because Blizzard is plural. She did have a twin Snowball, so there you go. Also again, God bless Keith, Carrie, James, Firebeam, and Starfire. Bizarre blizzards, more like awesome and wonderful blizzards. Or like people are cool man, bizarre blizzards, still so true because the blizzard is really the fight we have in our heart between fighting, repentance, forgiveness, and friendship. Bizarre indeed. Bizarre blizzards. Okay, next chapter, voracious volcanoes. Whether it goes how we think or not, we're sure it'll be fine. God bless. Chapter 2, Voracious Volcanoes. Max was in his room, the women left again, poor bastards. But, he still had his daughters. It wasn't all like that anyway. The way they treated each other, the envy, wasn't his favorite. Now we can sit here and blame Max for being a womanizer, but in his head he just felt bad for them, who knows. Fuck the ops man. Fuck M. He admired his room. The beautiful wooden kitchen doors. The huge TV. The pool on the balcony. Sex was a fickle thing. Aliens didn't have sex. Human beings did. It made them mad in a way. Unable to think clearly. But their desire for romance and affection, we felt, wasn't wrong. Max wept for them. They'd never believe it, but even now he felt bad for them, but what could he do? Some human beings felt more comfortable being aliens, so if you're wondering where they went, like some men for example, for it seems the women might be nicer than the men, but we know all are created equal. Max loved the idea of love, but for now he was okay with being by himself. Aliens weren't into that, and for that he appreciated them. Max started playing Super Smash Bros. Melee, his favorite video game in a way. There were so many great games. The other Smash games, Kirby, Mario, Zelda, Halo, COD, he loved Melee for he felt it taught him a lot about life. The game was made kind of by accident, with some of the most difficult, yet rewarding mechanics. It taught him a lot about patience, victory, niceness, neatness, swellness, friendship, power, control, the flow of water, the ferociousness of fire, the steadiness of earth, or like the carefreeness of air or like wind. Max sat there playing Melee when his phone rang. Please remember, Max's room didn't have a door, one had to teleport in. It was his friends. Looked like they finally came to their senses. Max wasn't sentimental, everyone needed a good, hard punch from a Beiju every now and then to stay on the straight and narrow. To leave Golden Hotel was just suicide. One had to denounce it in the harshest or like meanest, rudest, impolitest, most explicit language, or like, wouldn't they just leave again? What were we supposed to what? Delete that, act like they didn't leave? Well, in a way they were always with us, to say human beings wouldn't do this, to be human, to have sex, these things were hard. That's why Max didn't have sex, to spare their feelings. He felt really bad, but when mean motherfuckers make us say this, just opens old wounds. There's no point really bringing it up. They were okay, that's all Max really had to say about that. They all went to Max's room and played Truth or Dare. Max said, Stacy, since we left off on you at the beach, why don't we start with you? Truth or Dare? Stacy replied, why don't we choose Dare? She said in a cute, flirty, and sexy way. Mac thought of it for a while and then he said, we dare you to try to lick your elbow. Everyone laughed and Stacy tried really hard, but she wasn't able to. Max made a little copy of her and she licked her elbow. He usually could do a full-sized one, but he was unable to due to losing his powers. Stacy said, Marilyn. Truth or Dare? She kinda lunged forward in a cute, innocent way when she said Dare. Marilyn started tapping her chin with her right index finger. She said, Truth. She said with a big smile. Max was happy to see them doing the right thing. It broke his heart they wouldn't be nicer. Fragile human soul. Hips Don't Lie was playing by Shakira. Stacy said, who do you think like Max most here? Stacy said in a bubbly and kind way. Stacy was such a pretty woman. She'd had some bad relationships. Max believed in her though. It's hard to be humble, but she was doing the right thing. When multitudes won't be nice, or like it's all up to you, if you had to choose, would you go to heaven alone, or to hell with professed friends or like family? Max wondered. Marilyn said, personally, we're so insecure about our appearance, we feel so pretty sometimes, but other times, we feel like a little ugly duckling. We feel like Diamond must like or like love Max more than anyone. She wept. She wanted to lie and say she liked him more than anyone else, but she knew it would be a lie. She was thinking of that song Hate Me by Ellie Goulding. A nice and wonderful song surely, but obviously she was thinking it because the blackness and tar of unrequited love was trying to blind and choke her. She ran over to Max and hugged him. They kissed. She ran back to her spot and said, well, it could be us in a way. But Diamond's so pretty, cute, and confident, it's not easy trying to feel sorry. She obviously likes Max most, right guys? Everyone nodded. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone said agree to disagree except for Diamond, who just said agree. Max was also quiet. He felt so bad for Marilyn, he liked her a lot. It's hard being a woman when people are constantly judging and putting you down. Diamond began to speak. Diamond was Max's favorite, that was undeniable, but his favorite changed sometimes. Diamond said so. She was such a goofy, silly, and really popular woman. She was the kind of woman that lit up a dark room, a dependable, beautiful, elegant little elephant, washing herself with her trunk, eating nuts, wearing a top hat, a monocle, a tux. She was stunning. Max fought temptations of envy. What was there to be jealous about? She only liked him. It was so hard finding love, to Max. All that mattered was helping them, no more rendezvous or like fights or like, he wished they could just go to heaven, but they'd have to bring heaven to themselves. Diamond said we feel like we like Max the most. Man guys, it's obvious. We don't know, you guys surely like him a lot. But the way we flirt, kiss, it's different, no offense. When Max and I talk, it feels like time stops. She began to weep. We've never felt so close or like so attracted to someone. He's such a nice, kind, and beautiful man. We regret ever leaving this place, to be afraid of beings who can't even hurt you, who could be so cowardly. Anyway, sorry, we know you guys said you liked Max more, agree to disagree. But we don't know, to us. Max is the Sunday. Shining so bright that shadows don't believe they're allowed to be dark anymore. He's so handsome we feel like we could just faint. We feel like he's the only thing we want to talk about forever, but we don't know. Maxi Poo, what do you think, baby husband, sexy boy? Diamond was like the funniest woman Max knew. This, he felt, was inarguable. Ruby started to talk. She said Max is so hot, huh? We know why you guys think you like him more. In a way we're sure you're right. But we feel in the greatest way, in the way that matters most to him, we love him most. We love his brown or like black skin. Dark brown, we love his poofy little afro, we love the fact he's half Filipino, we love the fact he's so tiny, we love his trampoline tummy, we love his broken tooth, we love his courage, his willingness to help anyone, even if it makes him leave holes in the top and bottom of the universe. We love his love for us. He's so nice. She began to weep. In this universe people wept all the time. Kinda like Saki. Ruby continued. He got hurt, fighting the black tail. For us, it made us realize, when someone you love gets hurt, it's like, you yourself were hurt. Not to justify our sins, but, we felt mad at God. We should be allowed to help. What could we have done? We were arrogant and egotistical. We felt Max was the only one who could hurt the blacktails, but it was Preston who ultimately got rid of the blacktail. But honestly, we feel Diamond likes Max most, but we still love you, kid, and thanks for helping us. We love you. Max spoke. He was thinking about so many things. His mind always rushed. He thought of chains, hanging but upside down. When something upside down falls, does it know it's loved? That's how he felt about his women. Even when we're not our best, like John said, I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So, because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. When we're an alien or like a celestial, does that mean we're more or like less human? What was the value of helping the poor in spirit? Where were the men? Our criticisms lodged at God rightly held against those who denounce the lower half of the sphere. His mind raced, but he couldn't tell them, not because they wouldn't understand, but because of the confines and restraints of language, so sometimes Max would just show them what he was thinking. When we strip ourselves down, to just the chain that dangles or like sways in our spine, are we still a god, or will we pass away like a mere mortal? The kids continued this way for hours, just talking for hours. They talked about the Bible, church, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Death Note, Code Geass, music, shows, movies. Max said, "Hey Diamond, what's your favorite film?" Diamond replied, "Spirited Away. We feel it's a tale about the tragedy of loss of loved ones, the hope of getting them back, the fun of imaginary beings, the importance of hard work, the joys of solitude, and vice versa, the beauty of how kids can even be in love, sweetheart, that's how we feel," she wept. She continued, "All we do is kiss, we feel like Chihiro and Haku, just two kids in love, without that next step. It's so hard to be secure or like self-confident, but we know you love us, we've never loved anyone else. We wish we'd met you sooner. But what right have we to blame God? He's just a little white man with a big stomach, he's enough problems." We feel like when we watched Spirited Away, obviously we're spirited away, but it's not obvious when we get lost, we'll always find something new, something unfamiliar that becomes familiar, we'll find someone who's been our friend the whole time and we didn't even know it. Then we go home, but home is where our heart is. Jake the dog, or like, home is where Max is, where he's going to be, where he's been, and when we're not with him we're just a little girl whose parents have become pigs. Also God bless Runaway by Aurora. Max replied, "Diamond, that was the nicest, neatest, best, most important, most concise, most prestigious, hottest, sexiest, and most beautiful description